I own a fertilizer manufacturing company. That's my lawn. Let me tell you how much fertilizer I use annually. Here are the basics that you need to know right out of the gate. This is Kentucky bluegrass. I also have bentgrass and ryegrass on the property. Total amount of area here that I fertilize, 5,000 square feet. That's everything. Golf green, rye area, bluegrass area. This is the bluegrass area. I live at high elevation in the Utah mountains. My turf growing season here is about 6 months long. Maybe not a lot different from other people with cool season lawns, but that's right about the maximum that I'm going to get. In that length of time, I feed less than 1 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet. That's annually, not every feeding. Let's look at a couple of different things and see how that stacks up against others. One of the best resources you have is your local cooperative extension. They can do basic soil tests, they can look at things like weeds, disease, stuff like that. The information that's there comes from the most prominent turf school in your state, so they will have the most data related to your state. Typically, you're going to see things broken into 3 different categories these days: low maintenance turf, standard, and high performing turf. If you were to look at my lawn, you would say that's somebody who's treating this like high performance turf. 4 pounds per 1,000 annually? Yeah, not even close. But maybe you're not a person who's on this video because they even understand how many pounds of things need to go out or what's recommended. Maybe you're just trying to figure out how many feedings it actually takes to have a beautiful lawn. In an earlier video this year, I talked about how a lot of people will only fertilize 1 time, or if they have anything left over in a bag, they might do it a second time on a light feeding. That seems to be the most common for 95% of homeowners out there. The reality is it does take more than that, and sometimes you can get shocked at how many times, say, a professional lawn care company is going to come out to your property. It can range anywhere between 4 and 12 applications a year. Now, it's going to depend on the area, the environment, and who is doing the service for you. Every single feeding I've done on my lawns ever has been put on this YouTube channel. There's no secrets, there's no extra applications, and not 1 pound of granular, not even a crumble, has ever gone out on my lawn. The last time I pushed any granular on a lawn that I owned was 2003. Before I was manufacturing, I was spraying lawns. Professional fertilization service, all liquid. Those lawns didn't exceed 1 pound of nitrogen per year per 1,000 either. They looked amazing. In a normal given year, for me, in my conditions, my area, to grow this type of grass, I'm only putting out about 0.8 pounds of nitrogen annually. If I were gonna do that with just one product that I have, that I manufacture, I'd do it with the Green Charge. It's 2600. This has minor elements in it, it's got humic, it's got kelp, it's got lots of goodies, and it gives me results like the ones you see here. Last year, I fed the lawn 3 times. That was it. I didn't do any more than that. Now, at the very end of the season, if you want to see something funny, we came up and smoked the lawn with Super Death Juice. I'll put a link to that video down below. I don't know what it's going to look like yet this spring, but I'll have it right back here in no time. So how do I do this, and why does it work so well? I don't need to get into the science of the way the fertilizer works, the way it breaks down, the way it ties to carbon, the way it both foliar feeds and goes into the ground to be uptaken by the roots. I don't need to break all that down. What you need to know is when the lawn looks weak, you feed it. When the lawn looks rough, you cut it. There's only 2 things that really lead to a beautiful lawn like this: cut and color. It's just like going to a salon or a barber shop. Cut, color. And if you want to have a beautiful lawn, the color needs to be spot on and the cut needs to be clean. Cut, color, cut, color. That's really all you need to have a beautiful lawn. Best thing about growing an awesome lawn is once it hits a certain level, you can always tell when it comes off that level. It will tell you when it's hungry. It's a lot like a child. While it isn't speaking to you, it is going to give you plenty of messages. If the color starts to get lighter, it probably needs to be fed again. If the grass starts to get thin, it probably needs to be fed again. If you're feeding constantly and the color isn't right, and you're not getting the thickness that you want, then you need to do a soil test and see what's going on, because there's more than meets the eye happening. But for the most part, it's gonna tell you just with visual cues. Now, the golf green is a completely different animal, and this is something that you're going to learn a lot about on this channel. One area of the lawn is beautiful topsoil. It holds nutrients extremely well. It holds water extremely well. It is a wonderful growing medium for my turf. The golf green is not that way. That is a USGA sand 90-10 mix. It's 90% sand, 10% peat moss. That's built on about 18 inches for the most part. Some areas are a little bit deeper. And that thing drains super quickly. It requires more nutrients. It requires more nutrient supplementation. But last year, I kept that one at less than a pound as well. I didn't do much out there. I actually think I stressed it out a little bit because it was still in its growing phases. So this year I'm going to be treating that one a little bit different. The big difference about the golf green is I want to make sure that it's getting a good balance of NPK. Since the sand isn't really holding like the lawn does, it's going to require more. How am I going to do that this year? I will be using a combination of Green Charge, a combination of Green Pop, and I'll also be using Green Kick. Those three. Those are going to get me my NPKs for the year out there, and it's going to be more than enough for the green to thrive. Is there anything else I do different? Absolutely. Not everybody needs to do this. Not everybody wants to do this, and not everybody agrees with this, and that's totally fine. I use humic acid, fulvic acid, sea kelp. I put these things out on a regular basis, and they help my soil, and they help my nutrients that I'm putting down. And that's one of the biggest differences between my lawn, which is on cruise control, and other people who are out there pounding with NPK, trying to get the results like I've got right back here. But if you want to find more about like this right here, click on this video over my shoulder. Hold on, I gotta get out of the way. That one right there is pretty awesome. And then there's some fun information from this year right there, okay? God, so pretty.